So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. This is Ramola D from Ramola D Reports, and I'm very happy to be here this afternoon with Dr. Tom Cohen, who many people may be very familiar with already and who probably doesn't need a huge introduction, but I'd like very much to give him an introduction for all those people who don't really know his background. First of all, welcome, Tom. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Nice to be with you today.
Thank you, Tom. So I should tell people that Christine Massey introduced us, and she's been on my show a little while ago. And people know, of course, about the great work that Christine's been doing, talking to health institutions around the world, literally, starting from Canada, where she is, and asking about the isolation of the virus, information on the isolation of the virus. And I actually sort of assisted a little bit in that. I put in FOIA requests to the local people here in Massachusetts, the Mass Department of Public Health, and also to the CDC, and I got similar responses, no responsive documents. And the CDC gave some information, which I think a lot of doctors have addressed. It's not really about isolation as a purified isolate, but it's something to do with the regular formula of virus isolation that the entire field of virology engages in, which I hope we'll talk about in just a minute. So Dr. Cohen has been addressing many issues related to virus theory and germ theory, as have been many other doctors. And this conversation, I'm hoping, is going to be part of this project, really, that I'm working on as an ongoing project, just a series touching on terrain theory and touching on, what virus theory and germ theory is and where this notion of pandemics and infectious disease stems from. And Dr. Cohen has also written a book, actually, that speaks to that subject. It's called The Contagion Myth, co-authored by Sally Fallon Morrill. Let me just go ahead and give you a bit of a bio, Dr. Tom, so people know who you are. Dr. Tom Cohen is a well-known alternative medicine doctor, author, and speaker. He has a very holistic, common-sense approach to health and wellness. He's given countless lectures and workshops throughout the USA on a number of subjects. He's written 6 books, the best-selling books: The Contagion Myth, Cancer and the New Biology of Water, Human Heart, Cosmic Heart, Vaccines, Autoimmunity, and the Changing Nature of Childhood Illness, The Nourishing Traditions Book of Baby and Child Care, co-authored by Sally Fallon Morrill, and The Fourfold Path to Healing with Sally Fallon and James Macmillan. And he's had a general medical practice in New York, New Hampshire, and San Francisco. He's recently retired. He's a founding board member of the Weston Price Foundation, continues there as its vice president. He's launched a couple of businesses. One offers high-quality vegetable powders and kitchen staples called Dr. Cohen's Garden. And the second is a website which distributes information and hosts webinars and offers products he's used personally and in his practice. And his background is from Duke University, where he graduated with a degree in biology. He served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Swaziland, Africa, from 1977 to 1980, teaching gardening in a secondary school, where he encountered the work of Weston A. Price and Rudolf Steiner, 2 of the greatest influences on his career. And after the Peace Corps, he attended medical school in Michigan, his home state, at Michigan State College of Human Medicine, graduating in 1984. And he lives with his wife and wife on rural farmland in upstate New York, and has 3 children, a big family, 1 stepson and 6 thriving grandchildren. He's an avid gardener. And I'm just reading from his website. He's recently added several sheep and barn kittens to his growing farmstead. That sounds like a lot of fun. You have a farm. So that must keep you busy, both outside.
Yeah, outside a lot. I do a lot of gardening and growing food.
That's absolutely wonderful. I think all of us need to get off our computers and go outside, actually, and spend more time gardening. I need to get my spring garden started, frankly. So those are happy things to do, right? Those are good, healing, energetic things to do as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll talk a little bit more about health and healing in just a little bit. One of the things I'd love to talk about, Dr. Cohen, with you, because you have certainly established yourself as a leading voice in this whole world of trying to educate people on this notion of viruses. Because, you know, the so-called medical establishment has given everybody to believe that germs and viruses exist. They come from the outside, they attack people, and they give us disease. Whereas from the naturopathic world, there is emerging a very different understanding of what disease is, what ill health is, and therefore also what infectious disease might be. Because, you know, that's one of the things you normally hear from many people. People say, well, you know, things like measles and mumps and chickenpox, they are transferred from person to person. How do you explain that? So I would just like to perhaps open there, you know, if you want to tell us what your understanding of this whole field is and how you see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, how I see it. So there's a lot of ways of explaining this, but one of the ways is the problem with particularly virology, but medicine and science these days in general, is that they use words and concepts which confuse people and they don't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because if you translate what they're saying, the essence of what they're saying, into a real world situation, nobody would believe it. So let me give you an example. Let's say you go on vacation for a week and you come back and your house is demolished, right? Down to the floor. Nothing.
Oh my God.
And you come back and you say, I wonder what happened. And somebody said, well, there was some gremlins that came and they demolished your house. Now, the obvious question you would ask is, like, can you show me the gremlins, or what did the gremlins look like, or how big were the gremlins, or are there, you know, did somebody see the gremlins demolishing my house? Now, if the answer to all those questions was, we couldn't see any gremlins at your house, we didn't find any gremlins at your house, and they're too small to see, and there was no evidence of any gremlins at your house, most people would say, I don't think I believe you. And then you might say, well, actually, how big are these gremlins? And you say, well, they're about the size of a mosquito. Now, that would tell you that you could, because you can see a mosquito. So you could see them if they were there. And if you put it like that, you know, 100% of normally intelligent people would say, I don't really believe this. Now, let me translate that into virology. There is no recorded published study, right? Not one, where anybody took a sick person, whether with measles, chickenpox, COVID, AIDS, Ebola, any of those set of symptoms, and found this entity, this organism called a virus in any fluid or tissue of that sick person. And that is, here's the thing,